Choose Your Own Adventure. And let me tell you just how bad I was at Choose Your Own Adventure. I would just answer the questions and get to the end of the book. Yeah,
you cheated at Choose Your Own Adventures.
We went out to eat today, and my wife was like, "Why are you just staring out the window?" And I told her I was thinking about the bushes out there, but really I was thinking about pirate ships. All right. What's up, everybody? It's the Dukes of Blather. I'm Sam. That's Wick and Scott. We are the three Generation Xers that talk about everything going on in the world today from our view. It can't always be publicly, politically correct, but we do our best. Don't forget that our show is brought to you by Invictus Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. They offer help to patients with major depressive disorders, postpartum depression, bipolar depression, OCD, PTSD, and severe anxiety. Severe depression takes a huge toll on your everyday life, and ketamine therapy offers a chance to find hope again. Many patients have tried numerous oral medications, but have found little to no relief, as well as difficult to tolerate side effects. Ketamine treatment is highly effective and safe. It's time to get off harmful medications and start living again. If you're in pain, get help from the Invictus Clinic in Woodstock, Georgia. Give them a call. Tell them that the Dukes of Blather sent you at 770-850-1042. Please get help if you need it. I hope everybody's doing great. What a awesome week. I had a pretty awesome week. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. Good.
Great. Questioning I'm questioning the Ebenezer Scrooge nightgown outfit, but we'll talk about that later. You guys.
Okay. We'll approach that topic as we get to it. Wick, how are you doing, sir?
I'm confused now.
I know. I don't know how I'm going to get to that. I don't know how we're going to circle back to that, but we'll do it.
I didn't either. I don't know how we're going to circle to it at all.
Yeah,
we're going to be.
This was my plan.
Are you wearing a gown?
Yeah, I think we all should one show.
I'll wear a gown,
like with a bed hat, and
that is my biggest thing. And like, you can just wear the hat.
I never understood myself the bed hat.
No, me neither. That is what I'm talking. That's basically what I want to
fall
talk
off
about.
Your head as you contort and twist.
Why do you wear it in the first place? Why does it a cone that lays to the side?
Yeah, I think it's for warmth.
Why does it have a ball on the end of it? I don't know.
These things are. I don't know. This show.
But was it a fad?
No, I think everybody did it then.
Nightgowns? Yeah, I think
it got so cold at night.
Okay, but why a gown? Was it to hide boners and also like the hat? Was it to hide your hairline? Because guys,
I think
were
it was
more
to enhance
insecure
boners.
about their hairline back then. Huh?
I think it was to enhance boners.
Because it really would. Because you would have a tent. You would really have a tent. It wouldn't be like because your jeans pretty strong.
Well, this show is going great already. Wick, let's get back on track. Wick, what'd you do this week? Anything special?
No, nothing.
Oh God, please, so we can get out of this. Okay. I needed you to say something really great, like you went to the Grand Canyon or something, or stopped a murder. All right. So what happened this week? I got to apologize to a friend. Actually, I kind of messed up, but I didn't really mean to. So I got this friend Andy. I've been friends with him a long time. He's one of my great friends. Yeah.
Okay.
So Andy. I didn't want to say last name, but I appreciate that, Scott. Again, the show's
whoa. Yeah, but
anyway, it's okay.
I didn't know that was I forgot that was your thing. No last name.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not anything bad. But I got to apologize to Andy because my friend Andy and Andy hit me up, said, "Hey, do you want to go to lunch?" I get the pleasure every once in a while to do that with him. It's always fun to catch up because we got busy lives and kids and everything's going on. I said, "Yeah, let's go eat." And we go. Of course, we go to like 3 places, and we decided to go to one Chinese place, which was only open for delivery, which I thought was weird. Then we went to another Chinese place that was open for only delivery. We went to another place that was packed. This is Friday about 12, of course. So finally we ended up at a Mexican place. Anyway, have a great time. We sit down. We're having a good conversation. And I am the type of person that gives bro hugs, okay? We're going to do the mid-chest hand to hand. I'm going to put it out there. You're gonna reach out.
Then you pull him in for the full.
I'm going to pull you in. That's right. I'm going to pull you in. I'm going to tap. Okay. So we're going to leave, and I do the mid chest reach out, bro handshake. He feels a little hesitant for a minute, but he gives in, and we connect, bro to bro, pull him in, tap. I'll talk to you soon. So I go back to work. I'm doing my thing, get in the car to go home.
Sounds like a Curb Your Enthusiasm already.
No, I get in the car. I'm driving down the road. I'm halfway home, and I look in the mirror, and I have the biggest zit on the side of my neck. And I'm like, I just pulled my bro in for a hug right on top of that whitehead.
Get a good look at
Andy,
this.
I'm so sorry. I mean, like, I now I understand. It felt like I kind of put it out there. You're like, I don't really want to do this. And I brought you right in on it, man, up close and personal. And he bro hugged the neck zit. I'm so sorry. I feel horrible about that. My hopes is that you really didn't recognize that, and then just don't like me by the time we were done eating lunch, and that's what that was. Because I'm
did y'all converse about this later, or is this the first time?
No, I've not. No, it's too embarrassing. I'm not going to be like, hey man, sorry that I brought you in on a bro hug on top of a whitehead. My bad. Yeah, I'm just.
But you're doing it now.
Yeah. Well, I've just put the apology out there to the public, because I'm sure everybody's had that situation where they look in the mirror and they're like, oh my God, like really? That was on the side of my face. How did I not see that? But
if he were a real friend, he would have
boner.
I'm sure he doesn't care, but you got to throw the apology out there every once in a while. And then we were able to drop the kids off this weekend and go to a rare movie. I told you guys we saw Nobody with what was it, Bob
Odenkirk.
Odenkirk.
I said Odendork. Odendork.
It was great. If you like,
that's a great.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great action flick. If you like John Wick movies and like Fallen, I said it's like a John Wick meets Fallen.
Same writer. It's same writer and like I think producers, or maybe it's the same producers, not writer. I don't know.
I don't know, but it had very
related to Wick in some way. They're connected.
Yeah, they're very very.
Oh, it's going to be a universe.
I don't know.
The article I read was that it's in the same universe, but these people are just nerds writing articles, so probably not.
I do think that there'll be a part 2.
Really, it's good enough for that.
Oh yeah, if you like action and
did it end on a carry on like a?
It is the same writer.
Yeah. It ended on a definite part 2. So they had a lot of confidence going into it, but it was great. It's a great little action flick. I mean, it's an over the top violent flick, but it was great.
Oh no, look, you did a great job. Yeah, the previews.
Yeah,
awesome, man. That was so awesome. I want to see Bob Odenkirk fuck a bunch of people up on a bus.
Yeah. But we saw the previews too, and I've got to ask a question. When does Fast and Furious stop making movies? Because they're on Fast and Furious 9, if you can believe that. Have you guys watched any of them
when they quit making money?
Yeah, but have you guys watched any past like maybe 3?
I think I've watched them all. My favorite one was the third one, which had nothing to do with the original cast.
I think it was Tokyo Drift. Then they had the guy from Friday Night Lights. Or not Friday. Was it? Yeah, Friday Night Lights. The quarterback.
Real Southern accent.
Yeah. He was the main guy in that one, and I thought, well, this is the end. It is not the end because it continues to go and go. This preview was so bad. What's his name? The guy who plays Dom.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel is he's such a terrible actor. He's so terrible. But this one, I don't even know how they get the people to get in these movies. Like I think I had Charlize Theron in this thing. I mean,
he's good as Groot. It's because of money. It makes a ton of money. People go see him.
But I don't understand why it's making a ton of money. Because in this particular preview, they're in a souped up car, of course, and they're driving like through like a jungle or a forest, and they're coming up on a swing bridge. And she's like, "Don't." And he's like, "We got to." And they go and they now the bridge is probably 200 yards. They go to jump this bridge. The bridge snaps. Oh, a rope from the bridge, the rope bridge, catches into the fender and swings the car 200 yards across the ravine to the other side.
I'm having a hard time believing that would actually happen.
I would
Well,
not.
the
If I'm
previous,
lying, I'm dying.
I am.
I couldn't make that up.
Did y'all
Rick.
watch the previous one?
No.
Where they all ran their cars out of the back of a plane with parachutes, and they landed on a road that was carved into the side of a mountain.
So Scott's the guy that's seeing these. You're the one paying for these?
Yeah.
Because I just said, have you seen it? And you're like, oh, I haven't
them.
seen past 3. And now you're quoting the script for the last 7. So I don't.
Oh yeah, I saw the last. I've seen them all.
Okay, there we go. Now the truth comes
The
out.
only one I haven't seen is 2.
Which is, I don't know. I saw 1 and 2. 1 was okay. It was kind of a fad. I thought it would kind of drop out with all the, like kind of
2
like
had
the
Luda
Street
in
Riders and stuff. Yeah. And then it was just kind of like, I don't know. It's amazing that these movies keep being made. I cannot believe that they're on 9. I mean, 4, 5, sure. 6, okay. I would think by the time you get to 7, 8, 9, they're just direct to video releases at that point. Wick, help me understand what's going on with
they're
Fast
high
and
budget too.
I have no idea.
I mean,
But you got to think again, like how many movies, how many Friday the 13th have they made, and they're still going to make more.
You're watching PBS before this show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's that? What's that?
American
Your night?
Masters.
Is that your nighttime stuff that you watch?
That's really all I watch.
Is that when you have your cone hat on?
Yes.
What are you watching on PBS?
It was American Masters, Flannery O'Connor.
Anyway, maybe
You're a Georgia boy, man.
I don't know who that even is. Is that like Georgia O'Keeffe or something? That's all I know.
Maybe the best short story writer.
Oh,
well, American in the last.
Let me share with you what my literature. Let me share with you my extension of literature. I've read almost every choose your own adventure book out there.
See,
that's
is sad.
The extent of
this
my
is a
literature.
sad reflection of the public education system in Georgia. We have one of the greatest writers of the 20th century lived in Milledgeville, Georgia. And nobody in Georgia
Did he
knows
write any choose your own adventure books?
It was a female.
Did she write any choose your own adventure books?
No.
Then I have no recollection.
She wrote A Good Man Is Hard to Find, Wise Blood, All That Rises Must Converge. You
can keep trying. It's not going to ring any bells because I'm very limited on my smartness. So you're way more qualified for that kind of thing than I am. You get the high intelligence. I am just here. But yeah, choose your own adventure books, man. I mean, you can name any of those. I've read them all. Except for the one about there was a girl in the forest with a unicorn, and I skipped that one. Some kind of magical journey. But the ones with the spaceships, the haunted house, and all that stuff, and the guy who went to the moon. Yeah, choose your own adventure. And let me tell you just how bad I was at choose your own adventure. I would just answer the questions and get to the end of the book. So I didn't even read what was really happening.
Choose your own adventures?
Yeah.
You cheated?
Yeah.
You cheated at Choose Your Own Adventures.
God, those were such great books if you follow the rules.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I loved them. I would read them, yes. But there might be a time where I got a little bored and I just started choosing the adventure without knowing what the adventure might be. But I've read all those. But I'm sorry, Wick, I haven't read the short story lady. I apologize.
No, she was a badass.
Yeah. You know who I lived down the street from, though? I lived down the street from Robert Birch, who was a child who wrote children's books.
Yeah, of course.
Was a great man, really great man. He had a huge pond in his backyard, and when we were little, he used to let us come and feed the. He had a pond full of just, I guess, random fish, and
we should really have some kind of memorial to him in Fayetteville.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, he was an awesome guy.
We had Sambo too.
Who's that?
Farrell Sams.
Oh yeah. But yeah, Robert Birch was 3 doors down, and just go over there and feed fish in his pond. He was a very kind man. I have very fond memories of Robert Birch. He was a very, very good guy. But yeah, so I don't know what's going on with these Fast and Furious movies, but it's what it is. Have you guys done any March Madness stuff?
No, but I'm rooting. I forgot to check. Did Alabama win tonight?
They were playing. I can tell you real quick. Alabama, who was a number 2 seed, they did lose. They lost to 11 seed UCLA.
Oh, bummer.
Yep, it's a crazy time for March Madness. Crazy time for March Madness, man. I don't even know, man. I couldn't even tell you in the final anything because so many. Hey Scott, whatever you're listening to, turn it down for me
because
it's coming back. It's coming back in our headsets. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, man, for March Madness. But you know, they keep talking about this this old lady, that Sister Jean. You know what I'm talking about? She's 101. You know what I'm talking about? She's I can't remember who she's a fan of. She's like this 101-year-old basketball nun who goes to all the games and all this other stuff. And they were talking about her on like CNN like Friday. And it cracked me up because they were like, she's so inspiring for 101. And I thought, like, how do you know, like, do you really control being 101 to where you inspire people? Like, you're pretty much going to inspire people. Like, you're inspired to live as long as you can anyway, right? Like, isn't that kind of the thing? Like, that's like saying I'm so inspired by your fast metabolism, or I'm so inspired by your ability to tan well. It's like, it's not really your control. So to be inspired by being 101, it's kind of like everybody wants to be 101. It's not really inspiring.
Well, maybe it's her vitality that people are inspired.
But I can't. I mean, I'm not inspired by that because I can't change my own.
I don't want to be 101.
I don't know if I'd want to be 101.
I want to live forever.
I would like to live forever. But I think there's a point. Right, but that will not logically happen. I think there's a point where you're like, all right, I'm ready for the show to end. I'm ready for the curtain to close. I can't control my own bowel movements. I need to.
Well, I can't do that now, but I don't want to die.
Scared of death, Wick?
Yeah, well,
terrified of it.
Are you really? Is that one of your greatest fears?
It is. Isn't it the greatest fear? Isn't it the source of all fear?
I think no. I don't think so. I mean, I think there's a point where you're ready. I think
after you die too.
Not if you go in your sleep. You won't even know. Nobody will want.
Point, right?
Nobody wants a long, painful non-existence to happen. But I think, and certainly not before you're ready. But I think there's a point where you're 101, maybe. And listen, I hope she lives forever. It's not that. I just think that your age being inspiring it's like such an inspiration that you have the genetics to live a long time. Like,
you cynical bastard.
I can't be inspired by the fact that you have a genetic ability to live long.
What does inspire you?
People who throw footballs really far.
But you can't do that.
You'll probably be able to do that after you die.
People who can hold their breath for a really long time underwater inspire me.
That's genetic. Both those are things you just
mentioned. No, I can work up to that.
Is it genetic?
I can work up to every one of those things.
You can increase your lifespan by.
No way I'll throw a football
as far
more than 10 yards.
Oh, you can throw it more than 10 yards.
Okay, 20.
You just haven't thrown a football in a long time.
Well, I have a bad shoulder. As soon as I go this way, the shoulder's out for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, but you could work on we're getting off track here. But you could work on your shoulder to the point where you could throw the football as far that far if you wanted to. If you had somebody that was like willing to train you, you're still young enough. Well, you like Tom Brady's age.
What if it was a 101-year-old nun that could throw a ball?
Then I'm inspired. Yards. Then you got me. You got me. A spiral, 70 yards hit it in the hands. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But you just being old doesn't 101. But I mean, like, it's like they talk about her constantly.
Signer
on CNN in the mornings, and it's like, oh, here's Sister Jean Nunn who's going to basketball games. She's such an inspiring person. It's like, I don't understand how you get inspired by being old. Like, that's just genetics. It's like, I'm so inspired that you have a full head of hair when I'm bald. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be inspired by that. I can be jealous. I'm jealous of Sister Jean that she's 101 years old going to basketball games. Sure. But I'm not inspired. I think it's just a weird choice of words.
Let me show Trey this.
There you go. See, does my hair inspire you, Scott, or are you jealous of it?
I know. I'm fine with my head.
Okay. Well, he's comfortable
Okay.
where he's at. That's
You should
okay.
shave it.
And Trey is
should
watching
go-
right now, and he actually told me I wore a hat. I didn't wear a hat to work one time, and he kind of came up behind me and he just whispered. He goes, "Don't ever not wear a hat again."
That's a friend right there. Why don't you? Do you shave it all the way down?
Yeah, I do, but I just like I let it grow out, then I shave it. I don't know why.
You got to go. Bruce
I
Willis.
I like to change, huh?
Bruce
Oh,
Willis
I don't
did it
shave it all the way down. No, I use a buzzer. I leave some hair. I think it's better to leave some hair. I don't like the shiny head.
No, I think Bruce Willis did it right. When he started losing his hair, he just shaved it all.
Yeah, he called it the comb over of the 90s.
What do you think, Wick? You start losing your hair, shave it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, see, I would rather I buzz it to the very shortest without a guard, but leave some hair. That way you don't have the shine.
No, that's fine. If you, I mean, like, yeah, you should not leave it like long. Like, I mean, like, normal long. If you had hair, you should.
I mean, you can.
buzz it down.
Some people pull it off. There's people that are actors in Hollywood that get
what shape
continuous work. But you look at what's his name? The action star.
Yul Brynner.
Diesel.
Not Yul Brynner. The Diesel shaves his head, but there's Jason Statham. He does not shave his head. He buzzes it.
Yeah, I'm okay. I think Bruce Willis buzzed his for a while before he went to the flat shave. But I just think when you start losing it, it's I know it's terrible, and a lot of you people out there have lost your hair. I feel sympathy for you because mine's still rocking and rolling. I mean,
I need sympathy.
I hope I inspire you all to have a full head of hair. But
no.
Don't.
I get laid a lot more than you do. So.
What's that?
I said I get laid a lot more than you do, so I'm good.
Well,
this is fine.
Yeah, if it works for you, right? I mean,
I'm
whatever works. So, but yeah, I'd say I don't think it's an inspiring thing. I mean, am I wrong on this? I think it's weird that you say somebody that's old is inspiring.
Well, maybe that she's still engaged with the world.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Yeah,
most people just check out at like 65.
You talking about Betty White?
Just people that are disengaged from planet Earth after a certain age.
So, like Sean Connery did.
What did Sean Connery do?
When he retired?
Well, he just disappeared one day.
He retired.
Well, he retired, but he disappeared from the spotlight. So did Johnny Carson.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Brendan says I cut my hair better than most people.
There you go. Well, you got.
I don't know.
Have your back.
It's no guard. Yeah, I just shave that shit off.
Scott actually has the largest fan base of the show. Did you know that?
It's at 3 right? No, it's back down. No, I'm at 3. I have 3 people. That's what I was trying to check.
You have trumped me and Wick.
Oh wow!
Nobody watches Wick and I.
All right, guys.
So yeah, you're winning.
Right.
I don't know. A lot of serious stuff.
Ray,
going on.
Brendan, and I don't know who else is watching. Maybe Brianna.
Maybe.
So hope I called y'all out, right?
All of your fan base. What would you call your fan base?
I didn't comment, huh?
What would you call your fan base?
Scottonians.
Scottonians. I like that. Yeah. Oh, Scottonian. We call
Thank you, Scottonians. Thank you, Scottonians.
Yeah, there you go. You got a fan base. Mm-hmm. Some serious stuff in the news. You guys, are you all mixed up in this whole Georgia voting thing, or you don't care?
What are you talking about? Georgia voting? Georgia is
they changed all these laws. Everybody's
Georgia is like totally fucked up. It's a total fraud. And actually, Trump's talking about running for Senate in 2022 in Georgia.
How old will he be in 2022?
76.
Yeah.
I think he's older than that, isn't he?
He would be 78 if he ran for president again.
I mean, what state is he going to run for senator in?
Georgia is what he's talking about.
And Georgia?
Yeah, he thinks it's the most corrupt state, and he needs to come in here and clean it up.
Well, there we go. Nothing like Trump with the broom to sweep up the state.
Somebody's got to, because I totally agree with him. I think Stacey Abrams is the most corrupt person in politics right now.
And why do you feel that way?
Basically the way she's fought elections, trying to get votes in, is totally it's total bullshit, and it's fraudulent. Talking about voter suppression, there's no voter suppression. I mean, like, what is voter suppression right now? Not taking people without IDs?
I don't know. But now that's what's going to be the requirement now to vote. Well, I think I kind of agree with a lot of what they said, because I read
Brendan's biting his fucking fist right now. He wants to comment.
I read a lot on like the PBS site had, which I felt like was a little unbiased, was that PBS did a write up on it.
I'm dancing.
There you go. He is on target tonight. But right. So a lot of it was just having ID for absentee votes, like having to write your driver's license number on it, and then they're doing drop-off boxes are going to be inside the voter precinct instead of outside. I mean, there's a couple of. I'll be honest with you. I read it. I have a hard time finding. I know a lot of people are saying it's racist. I'm not qualified to really say whether it is or not. I don't feel like it is from just what I read, and I posted on my page the PBS breakdown. You know, they want to do. I think they want to get absentee ballots in, like I think a couple of days before the election, and have a cutoff, which I actually agree with, and I think they should have done that for this last one, honestly, because they knew the coronavirus situation was going to be pretty serious, right? And they knew that everybody's going to be doing a lot of absentee votes. And I almost think like a day or two prior that you kind of do a cutoff at that point and say, listen, there's no way we can count all these in time. We got to have some leadway to get started. I mean, now they're allowed to prep the absentee vote. They don't actually count it. They just kind of get it prepared, make sure it's all correct and ready to go in for the counts. So I think some of the changes are fine. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to it. There's a lot of people upset.
I haven't read the bill.
You know, I won't bore people with what it says. I mean, like I said, you can go to my page and go to the PBS one. I think some of the problem that we have really is that so many people read information that tells them kind of what they want to believe. So if you want to believe it's good, you'll go someplace where it's great, and you'll read that article, and it'll be an opinion piece probably.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hate it, you'll go to someplace that'll give you an opinion piece on why it's terribly horrible and racist to everybody and everything else, and it'll give you what you want, and it'll give you enough ammo to fight each other with. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's necessarily bad for people to, show, an ID and an absentee vote. I think the whole thing is, after what happened, I think you do have to take some action to ease people's minds that their elections are going as fair as possible. Not to say that this wasn't, because I don't think it was rigged, but personally, that's just my personal opinion. But people did feel that way enough to storm the Capitol anyway. So anything we can do to kind of prevent that from happening again, I think is probably a good idea, Wick. I don't know,
I don't think they're going to believe what they're going to believe.
Yeah, I find that. In spite of everything, I think people just really believe what they want to, and they'll go to get information that will back up whatever they want to believe it to be, and that's where they get it, and that's where they fight on Facebook about it. But I think some of the things are good, and I think the only thing people had some issue with was it gave government officials a lot of power over certain rules and parameters of counting votes and all that. So everybody is free to read it on my page, of course, but I think people may have an issue with that, and I get it, especially that you've got a lot of people that are a certain party in Georgia that will have a little bit of control over how things will go, and that probably makes people on the left uncomfortable. I understand, but we have to try to prevent what happened from happening again. So some of the rules I kind of agree with, and I think some of the rules a lot of the people that run the polling places were really happy to get this law, some of the parts of the law, but there are going to be people mad about it. That's for sure. It's like you can't do anything without people being mad, right?
No, it's just the way of the world, man.
Definitely is. So I don't know. Scott, did you read any of that law? I think it was SB 202.
What law was that?
The election laws that they changed in Georgia.
Not too familiar.
Okay, I'm gonna go with an and then of course in other news, we got more shootings and things like that. I don't know if that was something that we wanted to tackle tonight. We don't really come in here with a lot of setup, but I think it is something that people are talking about. It's an issue. Biden wants to ban assault rifles. I think it's only going to escalate from here. It's just weird to me. Like we go a whole year with COVID of really this stuff being quiet, and we didn't really joke about it, but we kind of snickered about it, Wick and I, months ago, where we said, when the COVID's over, then all this stuff will start back up, unfortunately, and it's just weird that it has, and
I called it.
I just have to question the fact that I get that people are unstable, they're depressed, and things are going on in their life, and they're hurting, and they want to hurt other people. I understand that. It's just amazing to me that people that do this are so crazy and insane, but rational enough to wait for COVID to be over. Right? I mean,
I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to do this until COVID. But I'm crazy in every other aspect. And it's like sometimes I just wonder if evil's born. You know what I mean? If evil's just born, and people are just born that way to be evil and malicious and with a desire to harm others. And
I think it's a perfect storm of predispositions to mental illness and then environment.
Yeah.
Together. I think they're set up.
So you think
then it's to push an agenda.
Now I'm curious about this. So if and I'm not, I mean, you could be right. I don't know. But if there's an agenda, which would be gun control, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. How do you set somebody up to go shoot a bunch of people if you want to set an agenda? Like, do they, and I'm not being funny. I'm really trying to figure this out when that argument's made, because it seems like it's almost like all of these people have this code word planted in their mind to kill a bunch of people, and certain people will call them and say pineapple, and then the switch flips and they go and start shooting people. And that's like, okay.
It could be something along the line of Clockwork Orange. Could be something along the lines of, we got a lot of dirt on you. This is what's going to happen if you don't do this. If you do this, we're going to make sure we let you go and hide you, and nobody ever hears from you again.
But how do you do that with like somebody who's like 18 or 20? Like, how do you have dirt on somebody? Like, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just hard for me to believe.
Some people just do it, but there's other people who you never hear about again. Where's the guys that shot up Sandy Hook?
Wick, do you subscribe to a possible conspiracy theory when it comes to mass shootings?
No.
Kind of knew that's where you're going to go. I mean, it's possible. I do think
it's Occam's razor. It's always the most rational, obvious option is the true option.
Yeah.
I don't see that any rational, true option though.
That people are
somebody's just mentally ill and gets a gun and wants to shoot people.
He goes and shoots up a elementary school. That's torn to the ground now, flattened.
Sandy Hook is?
Yeah, it's not there anymore.
It's a shame. Terrible what happened. But I don't know. I had to do a podcast a couple of years ago as a guest, and the topic was gun control. And I had notes from that I went back and read, where I actually went back and looked at a lot of things. Now, I will go ahead and tell you straight up, this is a year ago. This is before COVID. I think I did this in August of 2019 when I was doing that. And so it was before COVID. And I just did 2 years worth of research on it. And I was kind of relooking at the notes that I'd kind of found. And I did some elimination when I went back and looked at all of what they considered mass shootings in 2018, 2019. And I eliminated domestic violence. I didn't consider mass shooting to involve a family. So mom's cheating, dad finds out, dad kills mom.
It's like 4 or more.
I think I did 3 or more actually on my personal research, but you might be right. But I do think
that's just something I read. I mean, it doesn't mean that that's true.
Right. And, I basically took anybody who, if anybody was killed that was related, so brother versus brother, ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, cheating, all this other stuff. I took all of that out. Kids killing parents over anger. I took all of those statistics out because I didn't think it was fair. Because I think people know that gun violence happens because people get into either a passionate issue in their relationship, crime of passion, right? Or, people relate it. And then all of a suddenly, that kind of pops out. But I think it's different when it's random acts of violence against people that are not connected to the shooter. And you're in a store and all of a sudden people are being shot. Go ahead, Scott. I know you were going to say something.
Well, I got a comment from Facebook from Brendan. Believes it's a cycle. The shooting happens, the left and the right make a big fuss about it, and nothing happens. That's just true. What I've seen in the past few years.
That is very true.
Very true.
So
one shooting begets another shooting because the second shooter sees how much attention the first shooter gets. Yeah, it's people that have hopeless lives and mental illness and might as well be known for something.
I want to say
about the past shooting that just happened in Colorado and Boulder. This guy was somebody who hated Trump. He was Muslim, Middle Eastern. Did he believe that the people were all Trump supporters in Boulder, Colorado at this grocery store, which is a very liberal city?
Well, he was also connected to somebody that was arrested, or they're not arrested, but they're investigating for, I think, terrorist connections before the shooting happened. I don't know what the connection was, but apparently the shooter was connected. According to the news story I read, that the shooter was connected to somebody they were already kind of looking into. But I think when I did that, I've got them pulled up here. And again, if anybody wants to double check what I have, feel free. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm saying I took my personal time to look at it because I wanted to understand it better. I could have completely missed information, but it's a podcast I'm on and I'm going to share it. But I think in 2019, at the time of August, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that fit that criteria. In 2018, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that fit that criteria of being over 3, non-related, random acts of violence. In those cases, some were on some type of medication for depression or, schizophrenia or whatnot. In fact, I can tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of all of them. So we had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, roughly 13 total between 2018, 2019. 9 of them were on some type of medication. Average age was about 30 years old. Honestly, I see a lot of it's white males. It's really not. I mean, white males do make up a good portion, but in my criteria that I looked at, for instance, the 6 in 2019 at the time of August, it was 3 black, 3 white. a race. In 2018, of the we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were white. The others were mixed minority, Asian or whatnot. So it's not a majority overwhelming. The majority is probably like 57%, something like that, but it's not an overwhelming slam dunk of white people do this. It's a problem, and the reason why I say that is not to create a race discussion at all. What I'm saying is that this is a problem that's across several different racial groups. So it can't, when you want to try to solve this problem, you can't just say it's just genuinely all these people and not any of these people. Because if we're going to solve the problem and we're going to look into it, we got to look at it realistically, that it's a problem across races.
Yeah, mental health is not a race issue.
It's not. And that's why I'm bringing it up before I get heat for that. Of the 2019 mass shooters, prior issues, four of the 6 had prior issues. One was expelled from school for trying to kill classmates or saying he was going to kill classmates. One stabbed an ex-girlfriend. One had was on multiple therapy drugs for delusions. Another was obsessed with shooting and had a hit list, and it was believed that he was bipolar. Of the 2018, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them all had prior issues. Irrational behavior reported by others around him, mental illness that was documented, violent past and was put into court for trying to kill his wife, diagnosed with schizophrenia, ordered to a mental health facility. One was a serial killer, they found out. One had depression and wanted to commit suicide from suicidal notes that they found. Was being treated for mental disorders. Another one had autism, ADD.
Was the Sandy Hook? Was that the Sandy Hook shooter?
And monitored due to prior concerns. Just to finish this up, so we can have a full blown discussion about it. Of all of those, assault rifles were used in 4 of all of them. So I say there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 16. 4 assault rifles were used. All the rest were handguns. And shotguns. Politically, this is what was interesting. When I went through and searched for their political backgrounds, most of them had no political background.
Very political.
Yeah, they had no. There was a far right, a far left, a liberal, or a left, a Nazi sympathizer, and a Second Amendment freak was one of them. So right, left, but the majority had no political, and places where they happened all over the place: Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Virginia, Texas, Ohio, California, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Nobody was more than other. It wasn't more in the South than it was in the North, more in the East than it was in the West. It was spread everywhere. And as far as legal weapons, all of them but 2. 3, I apologize. 3 had legal weapons. One got
registered?
one. I'm sorry.
Illegal, you mean registered, right?
No, legally
Purchased.
Legally purchased.
Legally purchased, but not like fully automatic. No.
No, I mean you can't.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a misconception too. You can't
in
have
Georgia. You're only registered if you have a carry permit.
You do not.
You can carry it on your hip without being registered in Georgia.
You cannot have an automatic weapon. Nobody will sell you.
No.
You cannot buy one. You have to have a special license, and I think it's a collector's license, or military license can have.
Those
one,
are impossible to get,
and it's very hard to get. So let's go ahead and eliminate the fact that nobody's getting shot up by automatic weapons. Now, Las Vegas, I don't know if that was included in this list, but the Las Vegas shooting was a bump stop, which they made illegal. And what that did was basically you held your finger, and when you pulled the trigger and the gun went off, it would bounce off your shoulder. Okay. And you can just hold your finger there and you just hold it. And it was like a spring in the back of the gun that would make
the bounce keeps the trigger enacted.
That's right. It would just bounce against the trigger constantly, which they made those illegal, and they should have never been legal. So a lot of people believe that the automatic weapons were used in that shooting, and they were not. That was a modification that is now illegal. But I think a lot of this, I just want to say, mental illness played a big role. I'm not carrying an agenda. Please do research. Mental illness did play a big role in this. Age group was 30 to 34. The race was not a factor. There was no political agenda. You know, you look at the Las Vegas shooter, find me a political agenda. Nobody can find one.
Well, look at the Las Vegas shooting. Find me any information on why this happened, because I think there was a reason, but then all of a sudden more and more questions came out, more and more videos, because it was such a massive scene and police were on the scene and people were videoing and shots were being heard from different areas on video, and this story just died. What was the final conclusion? This guy had hundreds of AR-15s in his room, like there was some sort of deal going down. There were security guards who completely ignored the situation.
Well, I did recently go back and look into that one. And there's you're right. I mean, it just basically falls flat. That I don't think that they have any reasonable, rational idea of why this happened.
I know he was hemorrhaging money. That was
that, and I do think, I mean, he was a big time gambler.
Yeah,
and I think when you live in Las Vegas, you're in a really weird sleep cycle. Okay, you're up all night, you're sleeping all day. Plus, he had a couple of other businesses going. I'm not going to say that his sleep cycle caused it. That's not what I'm saying. But his money was made in strange ways. But he obviously had an obsession with weapons. And I think
how did he get the guns up there?
They had video of that. They were in bags.
They're in bags. He didn't just walk them up. He hit them. But it's a good question that Scott raises too. Was there a gun deal that was going down that went south, or But and he had C4 in his car. I mean, he had a lot of effort to make into harming a lot of people. And I don't know. Obviously, I just think if you're going to do that, you obviously have some kind of mental illness problem, right? I mean, I've never thought about doing anything like that.
That's just a foregone conclusion. What
do we know about the bomb that went off in Nashville?
I think that was a guy with mental illness as well, wasn't it, Wick? Where he just
had a reoccurring announcement saying, "Get away from the vehicle.
Yeah,
you have this much time left."
Yeah, and
before the bomb goes
off.
It was
basically a bomb, suicide bombing. I think you would consider that, because he was in the vehicle.
So here's what the talk is on that: is that it was in front of the AT&T building. He was given the Domino as a Dominion. They were given the majority of the Dominion voting machines to investigate when there was an investigation call, and then that's when this bomb went off. Not a week later.
With election machines.
This is in the conspiracy.
Election machines.
No, they were being investigated for fraudulent activity.
Oh, well, again, that's somebody where the neighbors knew something was weird with the guy. He's always been off, and
somebody blew it up.
Try to kill their dog or something weird like that one time. But I got this conclusion. I'm going to say it. You guys, can argue. Wick, I know you haven't said a whole lot. I probably talked over you here, but I don't think getting rid of. I'm okay. I'm a gun owner. I have a carry permit. I have weapons that I keep safely put away because I have children. But I do have weapons at my disposal. Not a lot. I think there is a limit to how many I would really want anyway. But I don't think getting rid of assault rifles ends it. I think everybody's going to be very disappointed if that were the case. I mean, I'm okay with the ending. I'm okay with the ban on assault weapons. That's where I'm going with this because, listen.
Well, we had it for almost 10 years.
We did under Clinton.
Yeah, and then it expired, I think, under Bush.
Right. That is correct.
The second term. Right.
I heard that you can own a grenade launcher. I asked this question through Google, the master, and they said that I could own a grenade launcher. I just want to say that as a gun owner myself, I don't trust anybody around me with a grenade launcher. Okay.
If you're getting a grenade launcher,
what are you getting it for?
What are you getting it for? Turkey hunting?
Like, I don't care if you take it to your cabin in the woods where you're going to go. If all hell breaks loose, that's fine with me. More power to you. But I just think that when you start being able to own those types of weapons, I'll tell you a funny story.
Is throwing a grenade not satisfying enough?
I don't think anybody should have a grenade.
I want to launch the grenade. I want a tank.
I just don't trust people to have
this 50 caliber gun on the roof of my house.
Well, here's the thing: like when the assault rifle ban was in place, it seemed we didn't have this, debate happening ceaselessly.
Mm.
And
you mean
if I had my druthers, it would be, reenact the assault weapons ban and then just call it even. Don't go any further.
Do we have assault weapons?
Semi-automatic assault weapons.
Yeah, you can buy like AK-47s now and
large
Kalashnikovs.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'll tell you a funny story that kind of says this is what I worry about people. Now, there are people that own guns that are completely responsible, but I had a guy call me. I was one time doing this whole thing on Craigslist when Craigslist was this new non-dangerous jungle of good deals and bargains. And I remember I had put some golf clubs up on Craigslist, and I got this guy that contacted me, and he was like, listen, I really want to start taking up golf, and I have a gun that's legally owned, legally registered. I've never even shot it. Would you be interested in trading for it? It's probably worth a lot more than the golf clubs. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, as long as we meet somewhere public, we do a bill of sale, we put our license numbers on it. As long as we do everything legit, yeah I'll take it. Because I figured I could flip it for more money, which I did. So I got up there, I meet this guy at Target. I said, we got to meet somewhere public, where there's cameras and whatnot, because, just so we can always validate ourselves. So we did. He was really cool. We did a whole write-up, he showed me his license. I wrote his license number down on things and whatnot. And so afterwards, we're talking. We do the exchange. We sign the paperwork, which was all legal. And I said, why are you getting rid of the gun? It's really nice. It's brand new. It's a nice Smith & Wesson. I can't remember now what it was, but really nice gun. And I was like, and it was worth more than the golf clubs by probably about $200. I was like, why are you selling this gun? And his answer to me absolutely freaked me out. He goes, well, I used to have it for home protection. He said, but now I've got an AK-47 and I don't need it anymore. And I said, you have an AK-47 for home protection? And he was like, yeah. He's like, so, I don't need a handgun anymore. I've got an AK-47. And all I could think about was when somebody breaks into your home, right? And you probably being very inexperienced with that AK-47, probably going to shoot every wall in your house. That's going to go through your drywall and to the house next to you. And that's very, very concerning for me. You know what I mean? Like, do you know the power of the weapon that you have, that you possess for home protection at AK-47? And that's more of a standoff. The Russians are coming. We're going Red Dawn here.
Yeah.
That's not really for a couple of creeps that are breaking into your door. You know what I mean? It seems like a shotgun would do just as good as a job. In fact, I think shotguns are the best home protection on the planet.
Pump action, especially, just.
Oh yeah. I mean, a 20 gauge is a great home protection weapon. I was really freaked out at the fact the guy said he wanted an AK-40. He had an AK-47, but that's the mentality of Americans. If we can have it, we want it. And because we're free to have it, why shouldn't we be able to get it? And I think that's a little bit of the pushback that you get now when you talk about gun control. But when I look through these mass shootings, like I said, under the perimeters that I set for my own research, AK-47s weren't the problem. And if you want to, listen, somebody who stands off from the side, I'm kind of in the middle here. And like I said, I do own weapons, firearms. If you want to ban assault weapons, I'm not going to stand in your way. That's okay. Because like I said, I don't want somebody owning a grenade launcher next door to me. I'm okay with it. I don't see a real need for anybody to own a weapon like that. However,
I want a grenade launcher.
However, if you think that that's going to reduce mass shootings, I think it's going to be disappointing for people. I don't think it's going to get the job done.
No, I don't think so.
Towards like what the Second Amendment was actually written for, and that's to remove people from power who threaten our liberty.
But you already have a weapon to do that. I don't need somebody with I'm telling you, I don't want somebody with a grenade launcher living.
I got to be able to fight the military.
I've got news for you. You won't be able to.
Well, I think they'll probably join our side, but
but I mean, all of this stuff about
everything available to them, I think should be available to
the
us.
Government taking the That's government. Right. I don't. The government I got to be honest with you. I think they have a lot more time on a weapon like that to train on it than you do. I just don't. I think there's some. I know people who do competition shootings and all that. I trust them. I know that they're not going to do anything crazy with their weapon. There's a lot of people though. I can guarantee you let's say just AK-47s, and that may not even be the majority of the problem. Let's just say AK-47s. Wait, of all the AK-47s owned, how many of them do you think were fired more than 2 sessions with the person that currently owns them?
Do you have the answer, or am I we're just?
No, I'm asking.
I have. Where do you go? Where do you go?
I mean, I guess
you can shoot them in your backyard,
right? You can't. Well, I mean, some places you can.
I mean, to get proficient with it.
Yeah, but I mean, I would guess that 80% of the AK-47s in the current owner's hands probably has less than 3 sessions of shooting it, whereas an officer, SWAT member, military personnel has hours of experience. And so to me, that kind of sets the line for me that I don't know that I want an inexperienced person that has that kind of power to just decide that they're sick of the HOA and that they're going to want to shoot grenades. You know what I mean? Because I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I think people are the worst. I really do. Wick, I've said that to you. I think people
training would have to go.
So to me, that's kind of where I stand on that. And you're not going to be able to beat the military if they decide to turn on you and come into your I mean, you know what I mean? Like maybe if there's
I'm going to have a Apache helicopter as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't even fly a remote control helicopter on Grand Theft Auto.
Well, I'd have to hire an army.
My kids,
I'll hire train.
I got him an RC helicopter, like a really small one, dude. Like charges in 10 minutes and it flies for about 5 and then I have to recharge it. And I wrecked it into the wall like 8 times, like trying to show them how to fly it. It was a disaster. Yeah, I don't need.
It's hard as hell.
But then we have this discussion of freedom, and with freedom comes
great responsibility.
Well, it comes with the idea that you're not going to be safe. I mean, freedom comes with a lot of risk, and you have to we live in a world where we have 2 different understandings of what freedom should be. One should be you have the freedom to feel safe, and one should be you have the freedom to do whatever you want and pay the consequences later. But I think freedom in itself is not safe. It's, if we look at the beginning of even this country, people were doing things that were completely, I mean, they would go all the way across the continent to find wealth, and the risk they took to have freedom and wealth was tremendous. I mean, many people died just trying to go from one side of the country to the other.
Trying to get to Arkansas.
Yeah. I mean, people die, freedom has its risk, you're not going to stop somebody. So guns are a great example. if you have the freedom to own weapons and you have the freedom to go to the grocery store, the guy who has the freedom to have his gun, who goes into the grocery store, is then infringing his freedoms on your freedoms. So you're at risk. You're at risk of people who speed and don't follow the law because nobody's going to make them unless they get caught doing it. Like you have every day you have people that are going to do what they want to do because they have the freedom to do what they want to do until they get caught. Then when you get caught, then when you break a law, then the consequences come. But you can't have safety and freedom at the same time. You can have, what would you call it? Freedom within realm, but you can't have complete freedom, which you kind of have now until you're caught doing something you're not supposed to be doing. You break a law, but you have to actually be caught breaking the law. People break laws all the time and not get caught. So you have the freedom, in other countries, you wouldn't even be able to get close to breaking the law before you were before you're beat up pretty badly. As soon as they saw you doing something that they were like, okay, you're getting close to the line. We're just going to go ahead and solve it.
You haven't committed a crime yet, but we're preventing it.
And
do you remember that church that there's a church recently that was a gunman invaded, and I guess they were going to shoot it up. That was the plan, but about 5 people got up who had weapons on them.
Weapons,
and they were trained, and drove them out. And this has happened more than once. It happened in a movie theater, I think, at one point where they shot one person and then the guy got up and shot them dead. None of this makes the news. There's going to be law-abiding citizens with these weapons as well. So, like, I might drive my tank to the grocery store and blow him up. Okay, that won't work. But
you wouldn't get out of the driveway.
You can't even get it out of the driveway.
I would if it were legal.
But the point being is that you either have safety or you have freedom. I think that's just really how this country is. And there are people on the side of, hey, you know what? Kids should be able to. You're absolutely right. Kids should be able to go to school without being in fear. Absolutely. But you're going to have people that
give up your freedom for safety, you're going to lose all your freedom at some point.
And it does go to say that what's the next thing if you give this up? I just think that there's a compromise. I think everything has compromise, and
the genius of this country is compromise. It's
right. Which is something that's been a little lost, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's majorly been lost.
I think if you make one gun law, then that's going to be amended at another point, and then amended again, and it's going to go.
But we've seen
that
smaller and smaller to where you're only going to be able to carry 5 rounds in your home. Period.
But we did have a gun law, and it
didn't change things. I mean, we've seen gun law. We had an assault weapons ban. People still bought
at that
guns.
point in time.
We've had background checks.
I would say to push, but the UN's already on record saying that we can't move forward until America's disarmed. For globalism,
I don't really care for the UN anyway. But my point is that, listen, we've had gun laws.
Biden does.
We've had gun laws, and they didn't affect my ability to buy a weapon. I just, went and bought it and had a background check, and they gave me a gun, So, I mean, I think if that were the case, we would have already seen it happening. I don't have an issue with the assault weapons ban. I really don't. I don't think the average person really understands what they're holding in their hands when they buy a military grade assault weapon. I don't think most people are trained for it. I don't think they know what they're doing with it. And I think you're asking for more trouble. Now, on the other end of it,
I haven't seen an attack with a real assault weapon yet, though.
Well, I just read a couple that had AK-47s, but I said though, I don't think that's going to solve it.
No, I didn't hear about those.
Yeah, there was a couple.
It's always been AR-15s.
Not a lot. Well, assault weapons. I think it was AR-15s or AK-47. It was assault weapon under the listing.
Semi-automatic.
That stands for automatic rifle.
Yeah, semi-automatic rifle. But probably I believe the caliber had to be larger than 40.
It just looks more menacing than it really is.
I know guys that have AR-15s that are 22s. They're 22 rifles with AR-15 dressing. Like a lot of it's BS. Okay, there are people that just have.
I saw that. I think it was the militia that stood that went to Stone Mountain Was it last
Mhm.
year or the year before? I don't remember.
I think
He had 20. He had 22 bullets stuffed in a fully, a full range AR-15. They didn't fit, and then somebody took a picture of it, and the 22 bullet was sitting in there sideways.
Yeah, I mean,
That was not a real militia. That was
Mm-hmm.
bullshit.
Yeah.
That was a staged
Right.
event.
I just think that I don't trust most people to have that kind of firepower, honestly. And we had cap. I think we had a cap on magazines as well under Clinton. I don't have an issue with that. I don't care. I mean, for me to think that I'm going to be able to hold off the U.S. government who's coming to take my property, it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
I mean, certainly if you feel like you need to do that, then buy within your legal rights what you feel like you need to have. But if you think that you're going to be able to hold off an army, you're being unrealistic with yourself. And I think,
Well, a lot of these trained militias is what I'm referring to, and
yeah,
they're ex-military. They have their
yeah,
own grounds.
and that's
They have their
fine.
own training
I mean,
facilities.
if you're an ex-military person, I have the utmost respect for you. And if you know how to handle your weapons, I don't have a problem. I'm just talking about. I think you've got a lot of people who don't know what they're doing who have these weapons because they're cool. And I mean, I wish I could tell you that it was something more advanced than that, but there are a lot of people that just like the feel of a really, really, really powerful weapon in their hands without any experience of owning it and shooting it. And that's scary to me as a person who owns firearms. But I think the real problem does come down to, I think when I look at all of those like statistics that I personally did, the main thing was always mental illness. And it also that in so many of those cases, somebody close to that person put up a flag. Was like, look, my brother's not stable, or called the police on him, or had problems at school, or had kill list. And I can promise you, a lot of these younger, like, okay, so the Columbine shooters, if mom and dad had just gone into their rooms every once in a while and looked around, they would have found out what their kids were up to.
I know. It was under their bed.
Yep. Notebooks under their bed about how they were going to do this and do that. And listen, I don't think my kids would ever do that. But I told my wife, I said, look, you are always, it's like we live behind the steel curtain at my home. When they get older, you will go through their stuff. They have no privacy rights.
Mm.
You will go through everything. And we'll know everything about their lives. I said, put it back where you found it. But we're going to know everything. And if we see something alarming, we're going to step in. And I think there was one kid that shot up a place where he worked at FedEx or something. And dad was just, oh my God, he's out there on the news. I can't believe this is just so out. But then guess what? Guess what he had under his bed? Notebooks about how he was going to kill people at work. Like, get involved, and there are warning signs that I think that people ignore. I think that's the big cue, the big clue to all this is that when somebody's not stable, and that needs to be taken a lot more serious by the FBI and the police. And we see the police kind of fail at times on that, where they have boundaries they can't cross or whatnot. And
Right.
they can't, and they've got these certain rules, and we need to look at those rules and say, listen, we need to flag people that are dangerous to themselves and others. And I'll tell you this, and it's not a popular opinion. I'm not saying that we need universal health care or anything like that, but I am saying if we're going to do anything in America right now, let's get free mental health care to Americans.
Amen.
If you want to go see a counselor, you go get it. You go see a counselor, because it's not just shootings, but it's kids being bullied. It's people feeling depressed right now and hopeless. The youth is really struggling with anxiety to do simple tasks.
I think if there's any revolution occurring right now, it's the revolution of acknowledgement of mental health.
Yeah.
And mental illness.
And people are more comfortable talking about it.
The problem is endemic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll do the health insurance debate down the road. I mean, whenever that's never going to be something everybody's happy with. Let's just admit. But if you can't agree at looking at America today and the youth and even older people that are dealing with things, you can't look at America today and say we've got a real issue where mental health needs to be addressed, and we need to get it to people who need it. We need to give free counseling. Listen, I went to go buy, and also
Mhm.
we need to limit people that are in care from being able to buy weapons. We need to flag them. The FBI needs to be aware. They need to flag them, and I'm also kind of into the idea of a restriction on ammunition that you buy, and you can't buy ammunition online because all of these people go and buy bulk loads of ammunition before they do this. They go buy $700 worth of ammunition. And I think we need to restrict how much you can buy at one time. And you can buy, so many a week. But if you're going to come in and buy 1,000 rounds one day, that needs to throw up a lot of flags, and they need to say, no, we have a limit of how much you can buy at one stop. And you can say you can't do that, but I can assure you can, because I bought allergy medicine the other day.
Exactly.
I'm serious.
Exactly.
I bought allergy medicine. I wanted the good stuff. I want the stuff with the speed in it that clears up my sinuses.
The stuff they make meth out of. Yeah.
That's right. And so I went in there, I bought 24 capsules of something, signed the paperwork, gave them my license. They scanned it. The crap didn't
Get this
work.
guy some meth, Trey.
With what I was dealing with, it didn't do anything. Like it just, I don't know. Yeah, they got like 4 different types of allergy meds, and whatever I was dealing with was not helping. So about 10 days later, I go back to CVS, a totally different one. I said, I need to buy some allergy meds. Okay, what do you want? I said, well, let me try the Allegra D. Okay, I can't sell it to you. So what do you mean you can't sell it to me? Yeah, you've already bought your limit. You can't buy again. I think it was like for 2 weeks. And I was like, are you kidding?
You junkie.
Yeah. And they were like, well, with the laws with methamphetamines, the people who buy in bulk make meth, and that's kind of their clue that they're making meth. So now you have a limit. Now, I'm sure people who make crystal meth have figured this out and have worked a way around it, because crystal meth is still available, despite the fact that that's going on, which may go against my point. But my point is that if I can go into a drugstore and be told I can't buy another allergy med for 2 more weeks, certainly we can say, hey, look, you can't buy any more than 250 rounds of ammunition for another 2 weeks. Because people that are doing this are buying it in bulk. So I think we need to get serious about giving people free counseling for mental health. We'll worry about the other stuff. I know that's a debate, but you're going to have a hard time convincing me that giving, mental health help to people that need it for free. And look, Medicaid doesn't. I mean, you know what? Doctors get a certain amount from Medicaid every month for people that they see. It's a salary.
Yeah.
I mean, they get free money from seeing people on Medicaid. So it's the same thing. Counselors just get money from, a fund that would fund that. You're going to pay it through taxes. Yep, you will. Unfortunately, that's just life. Somebody's going to pay for it. But I think we need to get serious free mental health to Americans, young and old, because a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things, and it's too expensive. I've been through a lot of marriages and divorces. I'm ashamed to say it is life. That's what I've gone through. Not my current marriage, but I've had troubles. Okay. And going to see a marriage counselor was expensive. It was a very expensive endeavor. And I can imagine parents that want to take their kids for counseling that know they're going through things, or they're being bullied, or they got serious problems going on, or they're having bad thoughts, or they're reading things that they're writing, could take them to a counselor and be seen free and no cost. And I think we really need to get serious about mental health. I think we need to limit how much ammunition people are buying at one time. And you can do the assault bans, but I think those 2 things would make a big difference in how these things turn out. But sometimes people are just born evil too. I mean, and I believe that. I mean, look at serial killers. People are just born evil. And no amount of, head medication or head discussion is going to help that.
No, there would be no way to prevent Ted Bundy.
No, you're not. No. Do you guys think people are born evil?
Well, like I said, I think they're born with certain proclivities that can be exacerbated by environment.
Exacerbated. There's that word.
Yeah.
I told Wick I'm always scared to say that word because I'm scared I'm going to say something else by accident. And then it's going to be really awkward.
Yeah. I exacerbate daily.
Exacerbate. I always think about like I'm going to say that, and I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm going to mess it up. It's going to be an awkward moment
Right
between
now,
me and this
right?
woman. What's that, Scott?
I could exacerbate right now.
There you go.
Pull a Tubin.
Somebody got caught, right?
Tubin.
Doing this
Jeffrey
on
Tubin.
Zoom? Huh?
Jeffrey Tubin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you guys think
How do you
about all
get caught?
this? You know, what do you guys think about all this gun control stuff? I mean, give me your back. I mean, I talked on about it, so you guys jump in and give me your opinions on it.
Well,
I think we should be able to buy as much ammunition as we need. The healthcare thing, I think, is a good idea as far as mental health. But that's about it. I mean, I believe that we should be able to protect ourselves against our own government, because I believe it's very easy for them to turn on us. I believe that laws are kind of showing, they're getting stricter and stricter. Freedoms are shrinking in the name of safety.
I get that.
And that's what they're using to restrict our freedoms is fear and your safety. And these laws will eventually be amended. Of course, it wasn't, I guess, with Clinton's, but
it can always happen.
I do believe that. I believe that's the end game, because it's already been stated by the United Nations, which you don't support. But there are parties there are people in parties here who are on that side, who do want to move in that direction. And there are a lot of people who do too.
Wick, what do you think?
I think the mental health thing is premier in attacking the issue. People that are, spiritually grounded are going to go out and do these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're going to happen because you can't, have 100% of the American population with sterling mental health. But nobody that has a life worth living is going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, I'll negotiate. If you want to buy the weapons you want to buy, that's fine. But I think give me free mental health for Americans, and then if we can see a decrease, then have your guns.
And it shouldn't even be. It's we should have that. I don't want to say in spite of the gun issue, but just because we have a mental health crisis in America.
Yeah, despite the shootings. Yep.
Yeah.
It seems also like every shooter has a very obvious background proving, or at least suggesting, that this sort of thing might happen. They always come back and say that from the right side, but it's not false. It's true. It's like their posts on Facebook and Twitter and notebooks found under their bed, things like that. The evidence is there, and a lot of times the FBI has been aware of it, and they're on a watch list, like this past guy in Boulder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, because he still has his freedoms, right?
Yeah.
It's such a listen. It is a very thin line that you dance on with this, because you're infringing on rights and rights that I do believe are valid. I do believe in the right to own firearms. What kind, I think, is completely up to debate, in my personal opinion. But I understand how people feel that shouldn't be up for debate. I get it. But you're going to have to give somewhere. And I feel like the same people that are saying no to any gun restrictions are the same people saying no to healthcare. And you can't have it both ways. If we have a mental illness issue, and we're all admitting that, especially if your argument is that it's not the guns that shoot people, and I agree, it's the people who do it, and it's people who have mental health issues. Okay, then give me free healthcare towards mental health then. And if you buck on me for that, and you get mad because it's going to raise your taxes, you're losing me, because it's either one thing or the other. And there has to be a compromise that if I give you your guns and I want to have
compromise is part of a civilized society,
free healthcare for counseling and all this stuff, and you're going to buck on me because it's going to cost me tax money, well, then there's no compromise there. you want it all this way, and you're not giving it back, and that's where I think the debate gets ridiculous, because there's got to be something that gives.
Often freedom is a disguised word for greed,
selfishness.
This is the most serious conversation we've had since I've been on.
Oh, I mean, we can move on to something silly here.
I'm ready to switch it to Scooby Doo.
But well, I mean, it is.
I watched Scooby Doo last night, the movie.
It is something that people are talking about, and it is something to address. And there are no real debates between us. I mean, Scott, you say certain things I don't necessarily disagree with, even though I don't see it completely. I don't disagree, which is why if you want to.
Well, what I'm saying is already exists,
right? I'm just saying that if you want that and you're going to fight really hard on it, then give me a little leadway to have this. But the problem that I find,
I'm really not going to fight hard. I'm done with that. I'm done with that fight.
I'm saying in general.
My fight was on Facebook at one point, and I'm done.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about for the podcast. Just in general, when people have these debates, say, look, if you want the guns, what if I want, healthcare towards mental health? You're going to have to meet me halfway there in general, not just you. I'm saying general people that feel that, they should be able to own whatever gun they want, and the Second Amendment. I just feel like they're the same people that are saying they don't want to pay taxes for free mental health care towards people. And I think you have to give up something.
But if they had their druthers, they wouldn't pay taxes for roads either. So
yeah, I mean, and that's true too. There is taxes.
If we didn't have taxes for roads, we'd make roads. We find a way. Like this road out here in front of my house, the whole neighborhood got together and had it made.
How long is that road?
No, it's not even a mile.
There you go.
we would not have expressways.
It benefited everybody.
But why couldn't that be on a bigger scale?
But at the same
time, although
that
might form an organization, which would lead to a government.
At the same time, though, when it comes to roads, taxes. When it comes to fire departments, when it comes to police departments, when it comes to all of that, that's all your local taxes anyway. That's your property taxes and your sales tax. Mm-hmm. It's not federal tax. So
it's a ridiculous amount of taxes.
So yeah, I mean, you're paying those when you're paying your property tax and all that, you're paying for police and fire. A lot of people get that confused of what their taxes.
We're also giving Egypt $50 billion.
And if you're paying your local taxes, which you're not, Georgia taxes aren't that bad. If you're going to do that, that's going to go to your educators and your police and your fire departments and your roads.
Yeah.
So it's not really federal tax that's going towards that. That's all local property tax stuff. But federal tax is blown. I mean, you just look at how much we spend on the military. I mean, we've had that discussion, Wick and I, before, where it's like, you're spending more than all other countries combined on the military. If you can't tell me that you can't take a certain percentage of that and put it into K through 12 education, I have a hard time believing you. So in certain aspects, you are right, Scott, that especially federal tax, it's really blown and wasted for sure. I mean, it's very, very mishandled. Which is,
I think it's we spend more on national defense than the following 15 countries combined.
All countries combined.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is insane. I mean, we pay more than Russia by far. And
we give it out. Yeah, and all of our senators and congressmen, every elected official is paid when originally it was meant to be a second job, something that you do on the side.
Yeah.
Now it's something where you can take a lot of vacation time, but it's enough to. Yeah, it's a sweet gig. Makes you a lot of money. All you got to do is put on a show in front of the cameras.
I mean, listen, they're worth a lot of money that they weren't worth when they got there.
Once you're there and you make a statement or an issue, you can write a book.
Yeah,
like Bernie Sanders did.
Where they're making their money though is
writing books.
It's not from their salary or even their book deals.
No, and that's why
it's from soft money.
If I'm ever
made
king,
it's from soft money.
Well, okay, Obama. What did he do?
He wrote a book.
What is he worth now?
His book sales were crazy.
That's kind of an outlier, though, because he was president. We're talking about just congressmen.
Yeah, just people in government.
Yeah. I mean, every president's going to write a book.
I'm of the opinion that if you are an elected official, that you freeze your investments. You don't make stock purchases. You don't get to go and buy this stock because a lobbyist came in and gave you insider information. You look at every one of those people and how much they're worth, and it's almost always in stock money.
And beyond that,
Who was
they
it?
actually do it on the House floor.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Trump made
They do it on the
Trump
House
made
floor.
everybody who was on his administration sign a contract saying they could not lobby for 5 years after being on his administration, which a lot of them do go
That's
into
great. I don't
lobbying.
think anybody should be allowed to lobby. I don't
Lobbying
think
should be
lobbyists
outlawed.
should be
Outlawed
absolutely
completely.
outlawed. Yep.
We live in
100%.
a- we
That's
live in
the
a-
biggest step that's ever been made to deal with the issue, though.
What were we saying, Wick?
We live in an oligarchy.
I just say, look, if you're gonna, you get a good salary, you get great health care, you can be here for as long as you get elected. You're gonna make you're gonna write a book, you're gonna do all this stuff. You're gonna make a ton of money. I don't want you investing as if you're an elected official. I don't want you investing in companies that are talking to you about laws and rules that they want to see changed.
Yeah, because that's who they're answering to.
Yep. I think your investment account, I think all your investment accounts should be frozen. You get you whatever you put in there before, you can mess with that. But you're not putting any more money into investments in stocks, because I guarantee you, if you look at what all of them are worth, if you look outside of book sales, it's 100% going to be in investments in stock market. And that's because they get information from people who come and visit them.
John Adams believed the speculative markets were immoral.
Yeah, well, I just think that if you're an elected official, they freeze your investment accounts. They get a great retirement. My God, I mean,
How much money? How much godforsaken money do you need?
Yeah, you make six figures there. You continue. I mean, you serve 4 years and still make six figures when you get out. Like, the retirement is insane, it's absolutely insane. That it's almost like you can't go back to the private sector and make money. You can't create a business. You can't do. I mean, you get a six-figure salary at retirement for serving 4 years in the government. It's like, that's insane to me. And they make all that money because lobbyists come in and drop hints. And you know what? Gun manufacturers do the exact same thing. They do the exact same thing.
They have to.
The NRA is actually, this is why I'm not a member personally of the NRA. The NRA's money comes from gun manufacturers. It doesn't come from membership. They have a very low membership. It really comes from gun manufacturers giving them money to go up and fight for gun laws.
I think my dad canceled his membership when they banned gun stock, the
bump stops.
Bump stops, yeah.
Bump
stocks.
Bump stops should have been banned. They should have never even got on.
He looks at it as a move towards one step towards abolishing the Second Amendment. And that's what the NRA was supposed to protect completely, in his eyes.
I think it depends on if you look at the unfortunately unspecific words of the Second Amendment leave so much.
That's
for
the problem.
Because
a well-regulated militia is in the first sentence.
Yeah, if I tell you
we have those,
you can have a well-regulated militia through handguns and rifles. You leave the door open for, well, what is a well-regulated militia? Shouldn't they have the weapons that the military
language
has?
is far too vague.
And we're stuck with that. And anybody who tries to change that's going to meet a lot of resistance, as they probably should. I mean, it's a catch-22. Because if you try to change what that definition of the Second Amendment is, there are going to be people, half of America is going to be furious.
Well, it's also important to point out, when James Madison authored the Second Amendment, there was no standing army.
Oh yeah, that's true. So the militia was the army for America.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The states would have, the army would be state militias.
Yeah. So
they were looking towards the future.
Yeah.
We said, we have you. What do you have? Who did they ask that to? Was it Thomas Jefferson? What do we have? It might have been Ben Franklin, because I know he was just someone who contributed. But he says, you have a democratic republic. And He said, if you're lucky, you can keep it.
It's an experiment.
Yeah, it's a great experiment. Sure, absolutely.
Oh, these guys came from totalitarianism,
Yeah, and religion was very involved in their government, and that's why they wanted separation of church and state. And that's a debate too, because a lot of people feel like religion shouldn't be involved with people who are elected, but I don't know how you do that. It's a quite impossible feat.
Oh, well, the founding fathers were pretty clear on the separation. Ben Franklin in particular.
Yeah. So, I know it's rough. I know it's overwhelming situation that's going on for people, because it seems like now we're having these shootings.
Like I said, I think that we have well organized militias. They are here. We don't see them because we're not a part of them.
What would you consider a well organized militia?
Well, are we talking about well organized?
When they wrote that Second Amendment, they expected everything to advance. The idea was to keep us level and even.
What were you saying, Wick? I'm sorry.
Well, are we talking about well organized or well regulated?
There you go.
Okay. Well, you wanted to do it. I was saying well organized. That's what I said. Not regulated.
What's the Second Amendment say?
Is that the language?
A well regulated militia, yes. The Second Amendment, verbatim, if I can keep from making spelling errors.
What are you writing the Second Amendment right now?
I'm currently authoring the Second Amendment. I'm James Madison. I've shrunk 3 inches. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Okay, yeah. Regulated by who?
That's where it gets complicated.
Well, considering its laws on the federal level.
Laws regulate the militia. Is that what we're saying?
Well,
was there a federal level?
The amendments are
when
federal,
that was written.
The amendments are federal laws. I'm sorry.
We were united. That was a federal.
Yeah, the
document.
The Bill of Rights was written
1776.
I believe in 1783.
83. Okay.
It was the Bill of Rights was an amendment to the initial Constitution by James Madison.
There you go. It's all done.
Okay.
Wick has written it all out. He's almost done rewriting the whole Second Amendment. What are you going to change in that, Wick? Did you say?
Well, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, he might have been more specific in the language he chose, or expanded a little bit on the definition of regulation.
Well, I mean, there's some.
Was it written to protect for the people to control the government rather than the government control the people?
I don't think it was about either.
Okay.
I think it was about defense.
Because that's the big argument.
Well,
I mean, the argument that gets hazy in that a federal law enacting people to overthrow the government, I don't think it was intended that way. I think it was intended as a defense measure rather than form a federal army. There would be regulated militias by state.
Mm-hmm.
That would be regulated by the federal government rather than form a standing army.
So every state,
which all the powers of Europe had at the time,
would have like a state defense force.
Exactly.
I think Georgia has a state defense force. Actually, did you know that?
I don't know. I remember when they wrote the law that you could carry weapons into state buildings.
Can you carry in state buildings?
You could carry. They wrote a law, and it was probably 7 years ago, that you can carry your weapon into state buildings in Georgia.
Really?
Including like libraries, city hall, things like that.
Can you? You can't in banks though, can you?
Well, that's independent business. That's an independent business.
Well, that's what that was kind of what led to this debate with me. And I don't know if I tagged Scott in it, but I tagged Wick, which was crazy to me, where they had the guy that went into Publix with all the guns and went to the bathroom. And one of the guys in the bathroom saw him with all these weapons. And he went out and told customer service, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, okay, we'll get around to it." And finally, somebody called the cops, who came out and arrested the guy. And then they put this on Facebook. So the story was basically this guy walks into a Publix and has all these weapons. It was like 12 guns or something crazy like that, all this ammunition. And went into the bathroom and got busted, got arrested, And all these people on Facebook are like, "But he didn't break any law, and he didn't break a law, and this guy didn't do anything wrong." And I'm thinking, what world do we live in where we're going to make an argument for a guy carrying in 12 guns into a Publix? Like, there is a point where even if you're trying to make a statement, it's a really bad, tasteless statement to make. If you're like, "I'm going to carry all 12 of my weapons into Publix and go get ice cream," it's a bad statement, even if you were going to do nothing. And it's amazing to me that we actually had somebody that stood up and said, "What I see is troubling to me. It's a red flag."
So were they in a bag?
No, I mean, I think he walked in with them in his hands.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
But like they're a private business, so they can kick you out.
Right. It's a private business. And then somebody's like, "I didn't know that Publix didn't have a no gun law there." I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Where are we at in this country where we have to debate over whether you walk in with 12 guns into Publix being a bad idea? It is a bad idea. And it scares people. And people have the right not to be afraid of you while you're walking down the ice cream aisle. I certainly wouldn't be in that Publix if I saw that, and I wouldn't dare be in there with my children. So with everything going on, even if it's a statement to be made about your right to have a weapon, strapping 12 guns to you and walking into your local Kroger and Aldi is a really stupid idea.
Wouldn't your initial response, even if
they don't understand the difference between your rights and the right of a private business.
This is the thing. Everybody, and I have run across, this is why I hate people. Everybody knows their rights, and not one person. Well, I won't say not one person. Everybody knows their rights. Very few know their responsibility. You have a responsibility. Your rights don't keep you from having that responsibility. If you want to make a point about guns, strapping 12 to you and walking into a grocery store is not a responsible way to make a point. Yeah. You may be protected under the law. You may have all these rights to do that if you want to do it, but it's a stupid way of conducting yourself.
It's the same as
it shows a lack of empathy for the situation that's been going on.
Yeah.
It shows that you have no understanding or idea what this means to other people.
Clearly, like I said, you don't give a shit about those around you.
You don't. You don't. And there's a certain responsibility you're not required to have, but should have within your soul and your well-being of being a person, that you don't want to scare children and you don't want to scare people when you walk into. Now, I believe that this guy was going to shoot up the Publix. Okay, but if your debate to me is, and I even told a guy, I said, "I know you're trolling me because you're not this stupid. You've got to be trolling me. You've got to be messing with me because you're not this dumb." Because he kept going on and on about, well, he didn't break any laws. He didn't do anything wrong. And I just don't understand, with everything so sensitive that's happened now, that walking into a grocery store with 12 guns on you, or however many it was a lot.
He was arrested.
Shouldn't if you're pro Second Amendment, wouldn't you want people to behave responsibly?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, if you are somebody who's trying to, there are some really great advocates for guns for the Second Amendment. There are some. I follow a lot of people that are advocates for the Second Amendment, and I think their message is great. But their message always comes with responsibility. That yes, you have these rights, but you also need to be a little responsible about what these rights infringe on other people. So if you want to set the standard for the correct behavior of being a gun owner, set the standard for the correct behavior. But walking down the street with weapons strapped to you to make a point that you should be able just to do it because it's America is a really bad example of being a rational human being. You know what I mean? And I don't get it. I don't.
At what
get,
point are you trying to prove if you're doing it?
Right, that you can just do it? I mean, at the end of the day, you're scaring people.
Do you think it's gun advocates that are doing it, like the ones that are walking down the street and the cops pull over and they say, "This is my right, I can do this," and they're videoing it? And he goes, "I know, I just want to check you out, check your ID," because they're carrying a AR-15 right in front of them, walking down the street. Are they? Because the only response you're going to get out of that is people are going to get scared and they're going to want more gun laws. So are the people who are doing this actually anti-gun advocates trying to make a public statement? Or are they people who really want to say, "Hey, look, I can do this if I want to," because that doesn't make any sense.
Hate to break it to you, the left just ain't that organized. They're not. They're just not.
Yeah, I think they are.
Maybe they are. I just think I do know gun nuts, and I do think that they would strap guns to themselves and walk down the street to get the point across. I just
because that only hurts their cause.
Absolutely, it does.
They don't care. They're not thinking that.
But here's the argument, though, too.
Or the left is thinking that, or not the left, but people who are against guns are thinking that, and they want to scare people.
I'm watching people on Facebook. I could probably go back to the thing now and look at how many people have written. I started to ignore it, but there were people that were saying, "Hey, he should be allowed to carry as many guns as he wants into Publix," and they were upset that he was arrested.
It's the same as the First Amendment on Facebook. People say, "Well, I have the right to say whatever I want," but Facebook's a private business; they can do what they want.
Right. But I think even if you walked into a government building or anywhere where that right was protected, I just don't think it's a good idea to.
It's not a good look. It's just not a good look.
It's not a good look on your cause. You know what I mean?
Not. That's my point.
Yeah, but I just don't understand the people who argue that it is a good cause, that argue that it is responsible, argue that he shouldn't have had anything happen to him. He broke no laws. So now we have to wait until he loads 12 guns in the bathroom and comes out and shoots 12 people before those people accept that he was irresponsible. And I don't buy that. I think there's a level of irresponsibility that's on the surface of things when you walk into a grocery store with that many weapons. You've already taken the irresponsibility into it. And I think he should have been arrested. Listen, you get arrested, then you go to court and you prove whether you're right or wrong. People will judge it. Your peers will decide whether or not it's the right thing or wrong thing. And you either walk or you go to prison. That's just how it works when you walk the line. But I think that when you argue that this should be completely an unarrestable offense and this is an infringement on our rights, I think it's a bunch of bull malarkey. I do. And I think there are going to be more people that are going to test the system and try to do that and walk around and strap guns to themselves with no intention to do anything. They just want to see what's going to happen. It's the same people that go through roadblocks and want to refuse to give the person the officer their license and what's your license number? What's your badge number? What's your badge? It's just ridiculous. There's a point where you're proven a bottomless ethical point that makes you just look like an idiot. And I just don't understand how some people can defend it. Now, if he had one gun and he's wearing it on his waist, and he's a licensed, he has a license to carry it, I don't have an issue with that because he's protected and he's not overdoing it. He's not going at it at an irresponsible level. Now, you change that completely and you say he walks in with it in his hand. It's irresponsible. And thus, I think you should be detained until they find out what your goal was in that situation.
So what was the guy in Publix arrested for? What was his charge?
I believe, well, first of all, Publix is private property, so he can get arrested for trespassing.